It's me. I want to be alone.
He's recording.
Oh, no.
You shouldn't have let her know.
No.
You have a little visitor there. Nina. Go away, dorg. Okay. Okay, so this is Grandma. Grandma, you have to introduce yourself and tell us about like background, kind of start with background kind of stuff.
Like what kind of background?
You know, like history of your mom, history of your dad, where they came from,
Oh.
information you know about kind of them growing up or or even beyond them if you know any older stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So introduce yourself, like full name, maiden name, married name, you know,
Oh,
date
yes.
of birth, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Hi, my name is.
That's shy.
It's a camera and there's nobody behind it.
I don't know what to say.
Your
Okay.
name is Sylvia.
My name is Jan Johnson. He's teasing.
She lives in Wisconsin.
I'm shy.
Okay, hi, my name is.
Hi.
And I'm gonna get through this.
Okay. Hi. My name is. Stop laughing.
Must be an Indian name. Stop
Yes,
laughing.
I don't have one. My name is Sylvia Mae Wells.
Laughs in her sleep.
That would have been a good one. What does Brian call
Did you
me?
hear me? I said laughs in her sleep.
No, what does Brian call me?
Little big toe.
Oh, yeah, a little big toe.
It's alright. We can edit later.
There'd be a lot of editing on that.
I know.
All these coughs. Okay, I was born at home. I'm the second youngest child.
Wait, name, full name. Did you already say that?
Yes, I said Sylvia Mae
Oh,
Wells.
well, okay.
Uh-huh. I started school at age 8.
Wait, no, born where?
Oh, yes. I was born at home in Bixby, South Dakota.
Uh-huh. Number 12 of...
Number 11 of 12 children. Uh-huh.
So your parents. What are your parents?
My father was John Thomas Wells. In case I forget, I have to read. He was born in Glendian, Kentucky, around 1886, more or less. Can you imagine?
Oh.
How long did he live?
He was 79. He died in 1957. Anyway, you want me to tell about his grandfather?
Yeah, whatever you know.
What?
In case we ever need to do like a genealogy
Oh, yeah.
kind of thing or something.
His father and his grandfather had slaves. They owned a plantation in Kentucky. It was lost during the Civil War, like all the other plantations in that time. My dad only went to the 4th grade, but he was really good at math. He could add. He was a slow reader, but he could read.
He didn't go to school after 4th grade.
A lot of them didn't back
Can you
then.
imagine? That means the grade you're in right now, he had to be able to survive all of life on and raise a family and pay for a family, support a family and all that, just on a 4th grade education.
Mm-hmm.
And you complain about doing your additions.
Mm-hmm. He moved to Kansas probably when he was early 20s or pre,
Married life.
yeah, maybe around 18, 19 years of age, because, you know, back then they didn't stay home long. They were out, you know.
Mhm.
He worked on bridges, built bridges in Kansas and in South Dakota. And that's where he met my mother, and was in South Dakota. He was working on a bridge on the Sioux reservation in North Dakota.
Which
Standing-
reservation was it?
Standing Rock.
Uh-huh.
So they got married and they moved to Minnesota, Brainerd, I think. And they tried to live there, but it was too cold for my mom, so they moved to South Dakota. Big difference. He moved him to Bixby, South Dakota, and that was in Perkins County, and that's where they lived until 1948. He had a farm, raised livestock, and, you know, planted gardens and stuff. Was self-sufficient, and as far as he didn't have to work for, you know.
Do you know anything about streets, like locations of the farm or anything?
I don't, but the older kids do.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they can go down and find it, but
Uh-huh.
I can't.
Uh-huh.
And there's nothing at Bixby right now.
Mhm.
That, you know, they said don't go there. It's nothing but a rattlesnake town now. So, anyway, there was a lot of rattlesnakes around when we were growing up there. But let's see, what else? Oh, he used to herd sheep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, for extra money, he would herd sheep for a neighbor, and we'd go visit him at his sheep camp.
And he had a dog that helped him.
Yes, he had a dog named Dixie. He had a couple of dogs, but Dixie was the one. Yeah, she used to help him herd his cattle. Sheepdog. She wasn't a sheepdog, but she was one of those, you know, that I don't exactly know what breed she was.
Uh-huh. But he could go home and she would take
Yeah.
care of him.
Mm-hmm. He'd bed the sheep down at night and leave Dixie to watch him, and then he'd walk home, and then sometimes he'd ride his horse, but usually he'd just walk home with his lantern and spend the night, and then he would leave early the next morning before the sheep got up, and sometimes we would go to visit him and stay with him. Darlene, my sister Darlene, she knew the way, and I don't know, she was only 2 years older than me, so she was probably like I mean, I had to be 4 or 5, and she had to be, if I was 4, that made her 6. So she was 6 or 7, and we were walking across the prairies of South Dakota, heading to Daddy's sheep
So
camp.
how far was the walk? How long did you walk?
Well, to me it was a long ways, you know, because
Right.
I was small, but it was, I mean, we had to go through some fences and stuff, people's
Uh-huh.
property, and I mean, it was quite a ways.
Uh-huh.
Mhm. Yeah,
And you would go just the two of you, or with Lanny?
just the 2 of us. Lanny never went unless my mother went with us, because he was the baby, you know, he was smaller,
Oh, yeah.
so he never went.
Uh-huh.
But we would go.
Okay, so she married, he married your mom. So tell about her, unless there's other background you have for him.
No.
Okay.
Mhm. My mom, it was.
Mm.
Did I tell
Wait,
you my
before you
father's
move on to
name?
her, yeah, John Thomas Wells.
Oh, right.
So what nationality background does he have?
Oh, my father, he's mostly English, but he's Irish, Dutch, Welsh, and
Scottish.
Scottish.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And do you know when his ancestors came over?
No, I don't.
Uh-huh.
I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay.
But he ended up in Kentucky,
Uh-huh.
his grandfather.
Uh-huh.
So, and he was born in 1886, around then, so they had to come over
Uh-huh.
to establish their.
Farm or plantation or whatever. Okay. All right. So move on to your mom.
So my mom. My mom's name was Molly Red Fox. She lived on the Sioux reservation all her life until she met my dad. But she was taken from her mom, from my grandma, at the age of 10. And she was raised, I guess, I don't know, government took them, I think,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and took the kids that, and then, and
Trying to civilize them.
yeah.
Mhm.
Put
So
'em in,
did she go into a boarding school as well?
oh, yeah.
One of those older boarding schools than you.
Yeah. She went into a boarding school. She was raised by the nuns because they were the ones that ran the Benedictine nuns were running the school.
Mm-hmm. So what reservation was that on?
That was on Standing Rock.
Was it the same boarding school you were in later?
No, she was on, not when I was small. She
Mhm.
attended Haskell Institute in Lawrence, Kansas later when she was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
But
But the boarding school she went to when she was 10 was on Standing
yeah,
Rock.
it was on Standing Rock. Hmm.
You know where she was born?
She was born in 48.
In 48.
Mhm.
Into a house, at her house?
I'm not quite sure about that because my grandmother lived in. I mean, when she was small, she lived in teepee, so.
Uh-huh. Right.
So I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, my mother, she attended, and then after she graduated from in Lawrence, Kansas, then she moved back to the reservation, and that's where she met my dad.
Okay, so what about her background before that, though? Go back to ancestors and names you know, and then after you do that, then go up to where she meets your dad again.
My oh yeah. So
Do you want some tea?
yes, please.
Okay.
So my mother had one brother. His name was Jim Red Fox, and she had one sister, Sarah Red Fox, and Sarah married Jasper Black Tomahawk, and then he
Cool
died.
name.
He died, and then she married Tyrus Standfast. Tyrus was not from Standing Rock. He was from Sisseton Reservation. That's also in South Dakota, still Sioux.
Oh, and what band and all that?
Oh, okay. Well, we were Sitting Bull's band, and Sitting Bull's band is the Hunk Papa.
How do you spell it?
H-U-N-K, just like Hunk. H-U-N-K. P-A-P-A. Hunk Papa. Uh-huh. Yes. And my mother's name was Maud Croeagle. She married Jim Red Fox. And, yeah, directly related to Sitting Bull, we are.
Mm-hmm. Do you know how to do that lineage back that way?
I have it at home.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And my father's, I don't know my father's name.
Uh-huh.
His mother's name was Adeline Ashley.
What was her maiden name? Do you know?
Ashley.
Oh, Ashley was her last name.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Adeline Ashley. Lady
Yeah,
Ashley.
yeah.
They call her Lady Ashley.
Lady Ashley.
You know, Southern.
Uh-huh.
She was, he was born in Glendale, and he had two brothers, Alfred and Jess, and one sister, Jane.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know them except Jess. He's the one that came to South Dakota and had a farm there, so
Mm-hmm.
they were around more often than the other two. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know too much about my dad's side of the family.
So your grandmother on your mom's side, though, she used to tell stories of when she was little.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember any of those?
Well, she used to always come and tell stories, and to my mother later in life.
Uh-huh.
She'd be recalling things, and
Uh-huh.
she told that one about when the soldiers were coming.
Uh-huh.
And so they made all the older people and the children hide out in a draw,
A ravine.
a ravine, and they could hear the soldiers
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of their tribe fighting, and then and then afterwards they just went. When it was over, they went back, and all these dead warriors.
Uh-huh.
But the soldiers used to do that, like back then. They just come upon a little band, and they would just sort of wipe them out.
Horrible.
Yeah, well, yeah, they wanted the country, so they
Didn't think of them as people.
mhm.
Any other stories that you remember?
Well, no.
Who used to make moccasins?
Oh, my grandmother. Yeah,
And she spoke in Sioux.
yeah. My grandmother spoke in Sioux.
Uh-huh.
I learned some words from her, but I couldn't ever speak it. Hold a conversation.
So what are some of the words that you remember?
Sugar is chahampi. Salt is minusquilla.
Bear and dog and Sioux.
Bear is mato. Dog is shunka. And horse is shunkaka. Bigger, Yeah, bigger.
And buffalo or?
Buffalo is tatonka. Tatonka. Let's see what else. Coffee is wakalapi.
What was it again?
Wakalapi. Chandi is cigarette.
And there were names for a ghost.
Oh yeah, a ghost is a wanaki.
Mm-hmm. A white man or a black
A
man.
white man is washichu. And a black man is a asapa.
And a greeting, hello.
A greeting, yes, is just like,
Konnichiwa.
yeah, something like that.
Isn't it konnichiwa? Oh no, it's not. Is it?
It's just like, well, they were always saying how,
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a white man's version of it, or not.
Uh-huh.
Let's see, what else? What other Indian words do I know? Oh, Sioux. Puppy soup.
Yes, puppy soup.
Puppy soup is,
They used to eat puppies.
no, I never.
Did
But
they?
Yes.
The Indians ate puppies.
They eat puppies.
Oh, Nina. Excuse me.
Ooh, she would have been delicious. Tashupa.
Tashupa, is that soup or is that puppy soup?
Puppy soup. Tashupa.
Uh-huh.
Tripe is taniga, the lining of a,
Oh, stomach.
what do you call it? Beef jerky is, I think beef jerky is bappa.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Do you know anything else like seasons or weather or snow or?
No, I don't.
What about, tell about like,
Mazaska's money or,
uh-huh. or a little bit bigger, honey. Tell about like the pattern of beads that is the Sioux.
Right.
You know how they knew somebody from there.
Oh, their tribes?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, well, it's all in the pattern of the beading that you can tell the different tribes, you know. Usually the Sioux had a lot of like roses, like rose flowers.
Oh,
You know, flowers. Beadwork. And some other ones, tribes would probably be just more plain, you know, just but beaded.
Uh-huh. And what about like the buckskin? How was there a particular way that theirs was designed that was different? Or a headdress or anything that was different?
Well, all their headdresses were because from the different tribes. Yes, the Sioux had the war bonnets and so like you wouldn't find a war bonnet on a Indian from the Southwest.
So the war bonnet was the long one, the big
Yeah.
long one that hung down to the ground.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't something that was just for chiefs or whatever. It was just a war bonnet in general.
No, it was for chiefs.
It was just for chiefs.
Well, they wore them, and then they wore the shorter ones, you know. And so the younger ones would just wear like a feather, and then so whatever their feather stood for, however many battles, you could tell by the way the feather was.
The way it pointed.
Or because they would separate some of the. You know how the feathers are, they'd separate them so that you could tell how many battles they had been in.
Okay.
And if it was just all together, they hadn't been in battle yet. Or they called it, what is it? You go up and touch somebody in battle, and you go and touch them just to make to show how brave you are. You could. It's not playing coop. What is it?
I don't know.
It's something like that.
I don't know what it's called. So do you mean they took out like quills of a feather, particular quills that would make the design of it different, or?
Well, you know how a feather is, and then you can make it and just go strip it, you know. And so that it isn't always all together.
Right.
Plain.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And if you've noticed some of the pictures, you probably noticed some of the feathers on some of them.
Yeah,
like
I
that.
thought they were just worn.
That meant something.
Worn out.
Yeah. That meant something. Silly goose.
And so the girls or the women, did they wear like a long, what made them unique compared to other tribes, or like did they have like a leggings underneath a long dress kind of thing, or was it to the floor? Or?
They wore the leggings, and for ceremonies they had the full buckskin, you know, with the all beaded top and the fringes and stuff. And then when they danced, the younger girls, they had jingle dresses. I don't know how they made them, but they sewed it was like a piece of tin, you know, wrapped, so it was like twisted, so it was together, and it was sewed on so that when they walked, it would jingle. Yeah, and they called them jingle dresses. And then they dance with their shawls, you know, their little ones.
And so what would be different reasons that they would have a
Dance?
powwow or a dance, or
Probably just for, I don't know, probably, you know.
just celebrations and.
Yeah, just for celebrations, or maybe the seasons. I don't really know. I used to attend Indian dances, and they just have them for no apparent reason. I mean, they just had an Indian dance.
Okay.
I guess a long time ago they used to have rain dances and stuff, you know.
Uh-huh.
But when I grew up, they just had rain dance for no apparent reason, and not for rain.
Uh-huh. Okay, so let's see. Oh, and there's a chief in there somewhere. We're related to a couple different chiefs along the line.
We're related to Sitting Bull.
Yeah, but besides
Directly
him,
Sitting Bull.
yeah. But Crow Eagle, right?
Crow Eagle was
Was the
chief.
chief.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And there was more than one chief in a particular.
Yeah. Well, because there are
Band.
7 bands and there's
Uh-huh.
7 different Sioux bands.
Uh-huh.
And within one band, like the Hunkpapa, you can have like 3 or more chiefs.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So would that whole band be together, living in a group, or would there be people from the same band but in different groups with different chiefs?
They different.
Different groups.
They were
and
in different locations
Oh,
all
so
over.
each chief had their own kind of little
Uh-huh.
group.
Yeah.
Okay.
And on big ceremonies or stuff, they would all get together.
Uh-huh.
They'd all come together.
Mhm.
Like the Battle of the Little Bighorn.
Mhm.
It was Crazy Horse and his band, which is the Ogallala Sioux,
Mhm.
down in southern South Dakota,
Mhm.
and Sitting Bull.